We've got a fun episode today. We're going to be doing a fried beet. So this recipe comes from the 1727 cookbook by Richard Bradley that's called The Country Housewife and Ladies Director. This one will be fun. Thanks for joining us today on 18th Century Cooking with James Townsend and Son. So typically, if you would ask me, it's like, hey John, you want to have beets? I would say no way, because I haven't had a lot of beets in my life, but I've never enjoyed them. But today, I'm gonna try these out. I know they've got to be special. Before we get started here, let's go over the ingredients that we will need. And I've got a couple of beets here. 3 is probably plenty for you unless you're feeding an army. We've got some cream. I probably have a cup and a half of cream. Also some white wine, a couple of eggs. We've got some salt and pepper, and then the recipe also calls for cloves ground up finely. We've got approximately a cup of regular white flour, but we'll also need a flour and breadcrumb mix for later on. And we'll need a little bit of lemon for garnish. Now remember, the recipe doesn't have any measurements in here, so we're just gonna kind of guess and work our way along with this. It's pretty simple. Now the first thing we're going to want to do is to prepare our beets. And the recipe actually calls to slice the greens off the top of your beets and then to bake them. And they need to be baked long enough so that the skins can easily be removed. We don't want to bake these beets long enough that they become mushy like a baked potato. So they're just baked a little bit. In our case, we just actually blanched them, or you can just probably peel them when they're raw. You don't really need to cook them necessarily. Once the beets are prepared and you've got the skins off of them, they need to be sliced. They need to be sliced this way. The directions actually say that the finished beet should look like a flounder. Should be in the shape of a flounder. Our beets are already prepared and sliced. Now we need to work on our batter, and the batter seems pretty simple. We've got some spices here. Obviously, we've got some clove. We don't want to use all the clove unless we want that to be the main flavor here. We've got a little salt and pepper, and I'm just going to put in a sort of a half a teaspoon here. We've got 2 eggs here. And we've got cream, so I'm just gonna add some cream to our eggs and I will whip them up. Now our cream and our eggs are whisked up, we'll just pour those in. And we've got some flour here, I don't know, it's a cup and a half, 2 cups. The wine comes next, and what we're looking for is a thick batter. We'll just add enough wine till we get to the right consistency. For those of you who don't want to use wine, you could use cider, or just plain water if you want to, but that wine's gonna bring in some flavor. I think we're gonna like that. Now that our batter is prepared, we can just batter our beets, and then we're going to dredge them through our flour and breadcrumb mixture. We want a nice thick battering on there. I want you to remember that I don't like beets at all. I'm doing this for you. So Richard Bradley talks about frying these beets in lard, but we just happen to have a pan full of bacon fat left over from the last meal we did, so we're gonna use that, and it should turn out really good. Well, they're beets. These guys look great. They fried up very easily. It smells great in here because of all that wonderful bacon fat. But let's see how they taste. This is for you, YouTube. Hey, pretty darn good for beets. I think fried up, it definitely removes a lot of the things that I dislike about beets. A very, very earthy flavor, which I find distasteful, is really kind of subdued in this. And the batter is excellent. I might add a little bit of sugar or a little bit of salt on top. But the beets themselves have some sweetness to them, so you want to counteract that a little bit with the salt. But really, hey, they turned out great. I don't think I would complain about these beets if they were set on my table. So the recipe also says that these are a typical complement to fish. So this would be a great something great to put alongside with your fish. It goes along with the lemon garnish and all that. That would be really good. So there you go, a very, very interesting recipe from 1727 for fried beets. I think you're gonna like them. They're pretty simple to do, so I suggest you give them a try. I wanna thank you for coming along, joining us as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century.